All right, let's move on to the next big breaking story. Well, the army chief, in fact, has made a very big statement questioning the police as far as questioning the political funding of the terrorists in Pakistan. Remember, this is not for the first time that a very stern message has come from the army chief when it comes to Pak-sponsored terrorism. Now, this time he has questioned the source of funding or the political funding to terrorists in Pakistan, indicating not only that the government is complicit, not only that the Pakistani government is complicit, but also questioning those who spread propaganda that helps terrorists. Another stern message coming from country's army chief to the neighbor. Well, let's listen into what army chief actually said.
Terrorist organizations have two fronts. They have a political front and a militant front. What has generally been observed is that whenever any violent activity is carried out by any terrorist organization, we tend to put very strong curbs on the militant organization. But what happens to the political organization? The political organization continues with its activities of indoctrination, spreading propaganda, generation of funds, including some of them generating funds in the name of non-governmental organizations. So the activity of a terrorist organization by just sidelining the militant organization is not the best solution. Both the military and the political organization need to be addressed simultaneously, and if a ban has to be imposed, the ban must be imposed on the complete setup, that is the political and the militant organization. Now, I know most of the people might say that if you ban the political organization, they are not carrying out violence. But the issue is they are directly supporting the militant and the military organization of any terrorist organization. So there has to be a link, and this link has to be drawn, must be identified very clearly.
All right, Republic TV also spoke exclusively to Mr. Hussain Haqqani. Remember, he is former Pakistani ambassador to United States. This is what Hussain Haqqani tells Republic TV.
I think Prime Minister Abbasi does have a point that evidence is key, whether it's about Hafiz Saeed or anybody else. The real question is that evidence that has convinced most of the world that Hafiz Saeed is running a terrorist outfit should not be valueless in Pakistan. So on the one hand, Pakistan's demand for evidence is legitimate, but at the same time, the world's demand that Pakistan consider the evidence that India and the rest of the world have collected and should consider it legitimate is also important.
How do you see the US pressure? You know, there have been threats that are coming in, warnings coming from Trump, from the Vice President or the NSA. But do you think that is enough? The military aid has been cut. Yesterday, Russia gave a statement that they will be ready to give military aid to Pakistan. How do you see the US pressure really building in Pakistan? Is it really helping diplomatically? Because radicalization is increasing. Terror groups have a free run in Pakistan. It isn't really helping in the new South Asia strategy of the US. How do you
I think that Pakistan, as a Pakistani, I would say that the most important question that Pakistanis have to answer is how long will we have almost half the school-going age children of Pakistan not going to school? Being strategically important to America, or for that matter tomorrow to Russia, is less important. What is more important is the welfare of the Pakistani people. Is the welfare of Pakistan's people being advanced by the current situation?
One last question, quick question. You know, Hafiz Saeed has been doing rallies again after he was released from the custody. He's sharing stage with the likes of the PTI leaders like Sheikh Rashid, like Parvez Khattak and others. And he says that he'll contest elections in 2018. Do we see a situation where a PTI will be forming the government, Imran Khan will be forming a government with Hafiz Saeed in Pakistan? That's the reality. A globally designated terrorist will be in power in Pakistan, perhaps as a Prime Minister or the Defense Minister?
Having a globally designated terrorist in any position in Pakistan is not going to be helpful to Pakistan. So it's not about some disregard or, shall we say, a dislike that I have for Hafiz Saeed. The real question is, should a man who has been denigrated and recognized by the rest of the world as a terrorist have the place of importance that is being given to him in Pakistan? And in my humble opinion, it is just not good for Pakistan.
Well, I certainly think that these statements should be taken very seriously. There's obviously a degree of frustration that has grown over the years. There have been periods, including when I was the commander of U.S. Central Command in 2009, where the Pakistani army was very aggressive in going after terrorists in Swat, Bajur, Moman, Khyber, Orakzai, South Waziristan, but never quite closed the trap, if you will, on the location where you have still the Haqqani network, Al-Qaeda, senior leadership, the Islamic movement of Uzbekistan, and other groups' sanctuaries, again, in North Waziristan. And, of course, it's well known that the Taliban leadership is and has been in Quetta. So this is a long-standing concern. At times, we've been able to work with our Pakistani partners, but clearly in recent years, this frustration has grown very significantly. And with this administration, there does indeed seem to be a different approach.
General Petraeus, despite the sanctions that have come from the United States, suspending of the security aid, coalition support, we see statements like US is no longer our aid. This is something that the foreign minister of Pakistan said. They are no longer our allies. We don't need to listen to them. And Pakistan has done a lot for the United States. And the likes of Hafiz Saeed, Syed Salahuddin, these are all designated terrorists. They roam about freely. They do press conferences against the United States and India.
Well, again, there's no shortage of frustrations. Again, at times there have been efforts to work together. There was very considerable cooperation, as I mentioned, at various periods, especially again in 2009. There have been other periods. I certainly had a very good relationship as the commander of U.S. Central Command, then the commander in Afghanistan with General Kiani, as the CIA director with ISI Chief Pasha and so forth. But again, we have been disappointed at various moments, and some of those very considerably. The fact that these sanctuaries continue to exist, the fact that inadequate action has been taken against groups that we know are causing the deaths of Afghan civilians, our Afghan partners, and of course U.S. and coalition soldiers over a number of years now, again, is a very, very serious concern, and this administration has stated it, I think, quite clearly.